Well, all the little ones are in Neverland and doing remarkably well. It's just so nice to actually see how quickly these little ones change and how fast they actually develop from coming in a little while ago, not really being able to move and very dependent on people holding them and feeding them, to getting around and jumping up and down, playing, exploring and things like this. And the development is actually quite unbelievable, and just so nice to actually sit there and watch them and see how fast they go and what they do and the mischief they actually get up to. So we've brought in some natural forage for these little ones to get used to and just to give them some more interest, especially at this young age. One must remember that they'd normally be out with their moms in the field experiencing all kinds of different things, and this is really their development age. So it's very important that we actually give them stuff that's always like working their little brains, that they can taste and see, especially with the leaves. There's a lot of different leaves that feel differently and things like this, ones that they can eat, ones that they can't eat. And of course the other thing is giving them something to climb, because they'd be climbing around in trees and things like this, although mom would be nearby. So just to get those little hands and feet used to curling around different sizes of objects and things like this, getting their brains to work out the different heights and things that they climb. So all of this is very, very important at this sort of stage in life, and it's sometimes so great just to sit and watch them develop. People spend a lot of time with these little ones, and sometimes you actually miss how they're actually changing every single day. This little guy is changing and becoming slightly different, more dexterous, climbing higher, going further, pushing themselves. It's really quite unbelievable.
Here we have Rudi and Miss B, just on the climbing frame in Neverland. All of the babies are getting a lot more confident with themselves and starting to explore a lot more, which is great. And then Nova over here is just trying to tell us that she's hungry. We currently have all three babies on the tree, and they are getting much better at exploring their surroundings. In the first couple of days they were kind of just stuck on us. It's really great to see them playing, exploring, even going to the door to see if they can see the bandits. There's no bandits at the moment, but we just always want to keep a close eye on them when they're at the door.
And of course the little wrestling matches between them are just as important, working out each other's strengths. This is going to help them later on in life, and it's something they do constantly. So yeah, it's nice to see that they're behaving as naturally as possible, always loving to climb and find things to go up and down, looking for new things, tasting new things. So one does have to be very, very careful with that. Anything they see in their sight, they want to put in their little mouths, or touch and feel it and see what's actually going on. But as I said, it's these like little moments that you get them, that you can see he's trying to work out what's actually going on. Little feet aren't quite making it to where they should go. And the strength of these little guys is just absolutely amazing, how they can hang on and swing on with one hand and one arm, and you just compare it to a human baby, which would never manage something like that at all. So it's sometimes just spending the time with them and watching them and watching their little behaviors and how they get away with things. It's really quite unbelievable.
Here we have Miss B and Nova, just with the food plate. Nova is a little bit too young to be eating, but she is interested because Miss B is interested. And Rudi has just woken up from his nap, so we will see. He wants to go over to the food plate. There we go. So we've got some banana and apple and cucumber.
So of course food is the next biggest thing, and
Nova's only
experimenting
got
and
one
trying
piece at
to
the
find out
bottom.
likes and dislikes. So just remember, none of these little ones have had anything solids really before. Their teeth are just really coming out. So that's when we know it's time that they can start trying and tasting things. We also have to be careful what's given, that it doesn't upset their little stomachs and things like that. So you don't see like citrus and things like this in their meals. We've got to be very, very careful with that. But it's just also amazing how they slowly pick out what they like and they dislike. Bathing the little ones is quite a controversial thing. It's not always something we really like doing, but sometimes it is essential. Just because these little ones aren't hanging upside down on their moms, they aren't kept independently from each other. They're lying in an environment where they defecate and wee, and they can roll in it, they can do it on each other, which would not happen naturally out in the wild, because they'd be hanging upside down on mom. Sometimes they'd climb off mom, they'd be in trees when they're doing things, so it would fall into the ground and they won't get themselves in the same kind of circumstances. So unfortunately this is due to us and the environment that they're kept in, which we can't really change. So now and again they do have to be cleaned a little bit and washed off, just to make sure we get rid of all the feces and stuff like that they possibly slept in at night. That's not something that happens all the time, but it does become necessary now and again.
So we can let them go when they're about.
Of course you now have a very fluffy little monkey, and it's nice to see the first thing they go to is basically the little climbing frame and just trying to climb and clamber around. So you can see how important the branches and things like this are to these little guys. We'll try to get them out to a place where there's more to climb. They'll be progressing through to Disneyland, which they can go outside and experience things completely different as soon as they get a little bit more used to their hands and feet.
Is the newest arrival, Rudi. He is drinking very well from the pet ag. Yes, I'm talking about you. Sorry, the Royal Canin bottles. He's just on setting number 1. So this is just the slowest setting that we have. So it's good for our small babies. We're going to try Nova on this later and see how she goes, just because she is suckling quite well on the Miracle Tea. And then over here we have Miss B on the floor and Nova just clinging on for dear life to her. So all the babies are doing quite well. It's quite hot today, so we've had lots of naps. We're on good milk totals, and nobody's crying just yet, so we'll see how it goes. Miss B just has a little food plate all to herself, because the other babies don't have enough teeth yet for food, so she's got just a couple of pieces of apple, cucumber and banana, and she's seeming to like them all but struggling to get them off of the plate. Here is little Rudi. Rudi has been licking some apple. And then we have little Miss Nova over here, who I think is probably going to be going for a nap soon. Miss B, who's just coming up towards us, and Rudi are doing really well. They have been playing, and Miss B has actually been lip smacking Rudi, which is really, really lovely to see. And like always, little Miss Nova is asleep. So we expect the younger babies to sleep 60 to 70% of the day. Obviously they're a lot younger, it's just like with newborn babies that they sleep a lot. These guys we expect to sleep a little bit less. they still do need naps even when they are over 3 months old. It's currently day 3 for Nova and Miss B and day 2 for Rudi. And we have woken up in a very playful mood. Miss B, who is currently coming around, has been bunny hopping all over, and even Nova is getting a lot better with her climbing and walking skills. You can see those big bunny hops there. So we're nice and playful this morning, which is really great. Hello, Miss B. Shows that they've had a good night shift. They're all on good totals, so we're starting the day off very well with all of the babies, and that's always nice to hear. The babies have been doing very well today. This one is Nova, and then we have Rudi, who's just helping himself to some apple and banana. And then on the phone screen, which is why it won't be a little bit shaky, is Miss B. So all the babies are doing really well actually. We're on track to eat over 100 ml per baby tonight, which is always great. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. So we have Rudi on the right, Nova in the middle, and then Miss B on the left. And it seems like little Nova is hungry, so we will see if we can give her. Is this your bottle? It is your bottle. Do you want to try? So with this bottle, there is some numbers on it. You just need to make sure that number 1 is at the top. And then we can give. So this one has a little N on. You can just see there. Number 1. This is called a Royal Canin bottle, so they have these when they're younger. But Nova is our best drinker of the group. She drinks very well by herself. So it was on about 15 ml, so she had about 4 ml there, which is great. They're going off to night shift with me again tonight. And it's going to be a much cooler day tomorrow, which is great because it has been 37 today, which is definitely a little bit too hot. It's the morning of the 3rd night shift for the girls and the 2nd night shift for Rudi, and the babies all slept really, really well. Miss B is just drinking through the bars. Nova and Rudi drank really well and they all were quite settled, which is really nice. We have got a bit of a rainy day today, so I'm sure the babies just want to be cuddled up when they get into Neverland with a nice blanket, maybe even a hot water bottle, depending on how cold it is out there. They're all doing really well. Miss B should hopefully be on the feeding cage with all of the good drinking that she's doing, but sometimes, as you can see in here, it gets a little bit rowdy with everyone climbing on top of each other. So I'll just see if Nova wants any. Which one's Nova's? So just got to make sure that it's the number 1. It's just number 1 here. No, we're not interested. We just want to play with Big Sister. Rudi and Miss B are just enjoying the last little bits from their food plate. So they just had banana and apple on it. So Miss B just has some banana in her face. And then Rudi is licking the plate. at the moment. So we wouldn't, so Rudi can kind of taste things and he can kind of use the apple for teething, but we wouldn't necessarily say that he would be eating at his age. He's only got those 2 bottom teeth, which means it's harder for them to obviously chew things, because they haven't got their top teeth to kind of help. But as you can see, he takes great offense to that. You can have this one. Let me hold it. Nova is still sleeping at the moment, just under a hot water bottle. It's quite chilly today. I mean, it's like 14-15 degrees. So the babies have been napping a lot today. They generally drink a bit less and nap a lot more. B is in the feeding cage. She's on her little throne, as we like to call it, because whenever she'd go in there before, she didn't want to touch the wires. So for the moment, we have just done it this way. I'll see if she wants more. She generally takes little sips, but we don't mind working with the baby to get them what they need. And this is really good because she is about 3.5 weeks now. And getting her on the feeding cage, just this start, you know, with the Alpen back, means that she should be able to meet mums by the time she's 6 weeks old. It's nearly been a week since the babies have arrived. On the left we have Rudi, and on the right we have Miss B. And Nova is just pushing the camera at the moment. They're all doing quite well. Rudi was feeling a bit under weather the last few days, but he has seemed to have perked up, and he is drinking really well, which is great to hear.
Of course, at this age, this is what these little ones do best, and they do sleep a lot, but that's also very, very important for their development. Even how they sleep sometimes is just so cute. It's really quite unbelievable. Some of them, how they just go to sleep. Miss B, of course, is doing exceptionally well. As you all know by now, the feeding cage is probably one of the most important parts of the whole upbringing. Getting them used to going inside there and drinking, feeding themselves, getting the milk and everything themselves, very, very important. And Miss B just seems to be the one getting the hang of this a lot quicker than everybody else. And that just means that she'll be able to get a foster mom a lot quicker. Which is important for her. So the less time we can actually spend with them, the better. So the quicker they can learn to drink or go into this little feeding cage and get milk on their own, the quicker they can basically get a foster mom to look after them. Because as I say, when it comes to the foster mom, we can't take the little orphan back, and we have to be sure that they can actually get sustenance. They really need to know to get milk, and this is the most important part. So it's so nice just seeing the first time they actually go to this little cage and start drinking milk and helping themselves do it and asking to actually go to it. So this is really fantastic with Miss B, and real good progress.
Miss B in the tree, enjoying doing some climbing practice. Bit wobbly. Looks like she's going to jump.
Okay, so today is a Sunday, and Sunday means weigh day. So what we're just gonna do is pop the scales and the blankets in, and then we're gonna tear it so that whatever shows up on the scales is what they actually are, instead of having to take the blanket away. So let's just check and do Miss B first. So Miss B was around 412 when she arrived. We're now 444, which is great. So we've put on 32 grams. Miss Nova was about 376 grams on arrival. But we have been eating and drinking like an absolute champion. Yes, we have. So we'll see what we now weigh. Oh, we weigh 380. Good girl. And then Rudi is last. So Rudi was our smallest baby on arrival. Miss B, don't mess with it. So we were about 314 grams. So about 100 grams less than Miss B. And if we just get Miss B to come off a little bit, we can weigh Rudi. Rudi. Sometimes it can be a little bit chaos with obviously 3 babies, and they're all. Here we have all 3 babies on the climbing frame. So Rudi has just gone into the feeding cage. So they had a nice plate with apple, cucumber and banana. And then over here we just have the 2 girls. So we have Miss B on the left and Nova on the right. Got some energy after their food plate. They've had some long naps this morning and nice big drinks. So Nova's come right up to say hello. They always love looking at the camera, seeing if they can eat the phone. There's Rudi with some banana in his mouth. Rudi is just enjoying his food plate. We also have Miss B, and being a bit clingy this morning is Nova. So we have all 3 babies. So we have some apple, cucumber and banana. Banana is always a firm favourite with these guys. The babies are enjoying a nice little climb. They've just had some breakfast of apple, cucumber and banana, so they all have lots of energy, which is really great to see. They haven't quite ventured onto our bigger branches over here, but considering Miss B is the oldest at 4 weeks, we wouldn't necessarily expect her to. They are all very interested, so we have 2 juveniles up here, so we've probably got a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old looking at them. We're obviously up on the window, so these guys are just showing their interest, which is really great. So Miss B, the oldest, is on the top, and then Rudi and then Nova's come over to say hello.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you're enjoying the beginnings of season 8. It's just really starting with these 3 little arrivals. It's been so much fun just watching them develop. If you remember how they came in the first episode, hardly being able to move around or do anything, sleeping 90% of the time. Now they're sort of getting a lot more active, and as we follow them off to Disneyland to see how they start climbing and jumping around and starting to play with each other, I think as Missy B's already got to the point that we might be seeing her going off to an intro cage, getting used to one of the moms. So don't forget to meet us next week. Remember to share and tell your friends. Get more people to watch. We need them. See you next week.